Welcome to another episode of UEN's PDTV. Every level, content area, and specialty in the education world has at least one thing in common. They all have professional conferences. For this episode, we have traveled to the Salt Palace Convention Center to meet with Aniston and Mallory, who are pre-service teachers attending their very first professional conference, the annual conference of the Utah Coalition for Educational Technology, or UCET.
My name's Aniston Burnett. I'm up studying elementary education at Weber State, hoping to lead into teaching maybe 6th grade. But we'll see how that changes as I go. I'm about a year out from graduating, so it's been really exciting to be able to just go in, especially going to UCET. It kind of built that excitement and made me feel more prepared.
My name is Mallory. I go to Utah Valley University, or UVU. I work at the Creative Learning Studio on UVU campus, which is a really fun opportunity for me, and I'm going into elementary education. So I'm not really sure what grade I want to teach, probably 3rd or 5th, we'll see.
How did you learn about the conference and decide to attend as a pre-service teacher?
Yeah, so like I said, I work at the Creative Learning Studio on UVU campus, and my boss is actually Krista Ruggles, who founded the entire organization, and she has some really awesome connections, just like being friends with you. And so she told me about the conference, and I was anticipating that I would just go and kind of promote the Creative Learning Studio. But then I learned that I would get a mentor, which was you, and it was so awesome. I got super excited for it.
I actually had a professor who sent us a link that was like, fill out this and you could go to this conference. And I was like, oh, we'll see what happens. Worst thing that happens, they say no. So I just filled it all out and got everything done. And I was like, well, we'll see if it happens. Kind of just waiting to see if I would even hear about it back. And then I did.
If you have never attended an educator conference before, or if you're looking to make the most out of your next conference experience, this episode is for you. Here are Aniston's and Mallory's top 10 tips for a successful conference experience.
Definitely utilize the app that UCET had provided. You got to know all of the different breakout sessions that were available, and then you could go through, see what might benefit you the most, and choose to attend those different ones.
Review the sessions prior to getting there. When I first saw like all the talks and everything, it kind of overwhelmed me because I was like, there's so much, and obviously like I can't do everything. But once I got there, it surprised me how simple it all felt. It just became more natural to move around everywhere and find places that you wanted to be, and even if you weren't somewhere, you still felt like it was somewhere you could learn and grow. So it just helped like calm my nerves that I had control of where I was.
So another tip that I have is when you're going on the website trying to plan out your day beforehand, sometimes it's hard to narrow it down. There's so many resources to go between. So a really awesome tip that you actually showed me was to search by speaker. And that was really helpful because I got to see the speakers that I really wanted to, and it was also filtered by very popular speakers at the top, and then maybe some ones that joined later. So you could scroll through each of those, see which ones you might like to attend.
So my third tip would be just find your people there.
Tell me a little bit more about that. What do you mean by find your people?
So it's finding like the people that you can collaborate with and then regroup with after sessions, so you know you can split up and go everywhere, but you also have the people that you can come back together with and talk about where you all were and share what you learned and already know prior maybe, or even just people who build that system of trust in you right away that you start to form it.
I would also recommend being open to changing up the plan. There was a couple times that I had a class that I was really excited about, and then I got there and a previous class had touched on a lot of those key ideas that I was hoping to hear and listen about. And so I felt like I didn't really need the next class, and so I would go to another one. And that opened me up to so many more possibilities, and I got to go to a couple really cool breakout sessions with some technology-based learning that I would never have otherwise gone to because that wasn't something I was interested in.
Are there any practical tips just for physically being at the conference that you might offer?
I would recommend bringing a snack or two. I think that there were a lot of fun treats at the different sessions, but if you're planning on going to a lot of breakout sessions, it's a lot of listening and learning, and you get a little hungry, a little snacky. And so I would recommend bringing some nutritious snacks, definitely some water, just the very basics.
Definitely bring a bag. You will leave with so much stuff that having a bag, like the first day I did not, and I was like, oh, I don't know where to put everything. So bringing a bag helps you to condense your stuff so you're not as chaotic when walking around and keep things a little more organized.
As a pre-service teacher, I think that it is a valuable asset to be able to start your career off on the right foot. And I think that going and learning from all of these educators who have been doing this for such a long time, that can set you up for a very successful future.
Even just walking around the little convention center where all the booths were, you were able to talk to people and interact and get those little bits of knowledge, and especially as a pre-service teacher, because there are some that are targeting to new teachers or more experienced teachers in different areas, that having people who go through it with you and even include it in how it can increase my education. Once I'm, even in college, there were resources that I can use right now for myself that I think can help me grow as a teacher.
Another idea that I had, I wish I would have had it during the conference, but upon reflecting back, I think that taking notes is really important. I did a random assortment of notes. I had some on my phone, I took some pictures of some slides that were presented. What I wish I would have done is make just a Google Doc folder, some kind of folder that I could have kept all of the digital resources that I made and then be able to reference back to those frequently. There were a few quotes that I took and have since applied, but I think a lot of it got missed as just the craziness of the day with so much to do, so much to learn. So I think next time I go, I'm definitely going to have a Google folder of some kind that I can keep all of the resources in one area. Network as much as you can. This is typical, I think, for most educators, but as pre-service teachers, we're a little bit new to it. I had the really awesome opportunity to learn from some of my coworkers and see how they were talking to different individuals that came to the Creative Learning Studio booth. And then I got to take those tips and apply it to myself as I went around talking to all of the different partners that were there.
A lot of the times I learned more just from talking to someone or interacting with someone, learning from their experience to be more beneficial than what I learned in a session, because some of those are targeting to more experienced teachers. Even just talking to the UEN, having the different people there and all around gave me someone where it's I knew a point of reference that I could talk to them. It gave me someone to go to the talks with and help me find what talks were better suited for me rather than me sitting there I don't know what to do.
To sum things up, why is it a positive thing to go to educator conferences? What did you learn? What was your favorite? What were the benefits?
I think it came with tons of benefits. I think one of the biggest benefits was just the UEN. Anytime I've ever looked at it, it was just the standards. I never looked beyond. But once I actually was talking to everyone there, I saw how big it was and how many resources actually come from it. So that has been very helpful to help me build my own resources. And then just taking my experience from the conference and from walking around and seeing how big it was has helped me get more realistic in what I can expect in the future. And it made me more interested in other conferences and want to look into it, because teaching, from what I've learned, is sometimes it can be narrow as to what you have. Sometimes it's you just have your school and your district. And there's so much more beyond that that can build you. And being able to find some of those resources, and just finding one resource can send you to so many others, that just pulling from each of those and not being scared to say no or yes, or I can try it, and if it fails, it fails.
How do you think that attending a professional conference helps you not only be a better educator in the classroom, but be more marketable as a teacher who's looking for possible employment?
I was thinking about that as I was attending the conference, that it could be a really cool opportunity for me as I continue to attend UCET every year up until I actually become a teacher, that I could have that kind of in my arsenal when I'm going into those interviews. And later in my career, I would love to be an administrator. And so I think that starting off in my professional career, having many years of UCET experience or professional development experience before I had even started would definitely make me in general more marketable and more of an asset to the future classroom that I will be in.
Thanks to Aniston and Mallory, you now have a better idea of how you can successfully attend an educator conference. How can you get involved in future conferences? First, the UCET conference takes place every year. Visit ucet.org to learn more, to volunteer, to sign up as a presenter, and to get involved in the various activities they have all throughout the year. Then attend all different kinds of conferences. For example, there are conferences for just about every content area: English language arts, math, social studies, and more. There are also conferences for specific types of LEAs, like charter schools or rural schools. Even the PTA has their own conference. You can also look for specialty conferences for educators who are speech-language pathologists or special educators. Keep in mind there are local, state, national, and even international conferences that you can consider attending. For even more strategies, ideas, tools, and resources to help you with your next conference experience, be sure to visit uen.org/PDTV and access the teacher toolkit that accompanies this episode. Thanks for watching PDTV. To access more professional development resources from UEN and to schedule a training, visit uen.org/development. We'll see you next time.